Welcome to another First Street review.
We're back, and this time we are reviewing The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's currently available on HBO Max and in theaters. I believe that it's going to stay on HBO Max for the next month, so you've got some time to get it in before it goes away, and then it'll come back out eventually. So,
Someday.
someday.
Knowing us, there's probably going to be a couple of spoilers because the devil makes us do it. So if you need to hit pause to run to your theater or hit play on HBO Max, you can just leave us paused and we'll wait around. We got some time. Yeah.
So in this The Conjuring movie, Ed and Lorraine Warren take on one of their most sensational cases when a young man accused of murder claims demonic possession as his defense. I've done that many times, forcing the Warrens into a supernatural investigation unlike anything they've ever seen before.
So the opening was very on brand, and I was in love, and I was ready to follow this movie. And then it fizzled very soon after.
Yeah, I agree. The opening was great, but it felt like the opening was the climax of the movie. And if your climax happens 15 minutes in, you got a problem.
Literally, I felt like the movie that was ending up top is the movie I deserved. And I didn't get it. Instead, I got everything that happened after that movie was over, which is not what I wanted this time around.
Yeah. Okay, but I do want to say before we get into all the things that are wishy-washy about, I give so much props to Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. I am such a fan of theirs. They never disappoint as actors. Fantastic. I love everything that they do. Even if I don't love the movie, I still love them.
Yes, I'm obsessed with them, as we know. But my question for costuming, makeup, hair, whoever made this choice is why did we age our two hot leads? Like for what purpose? Because it looked like Vera and Patrick were just two hot people cosplaying older roles, like role playing. And I want questions. Like if that's a movie we're gonna make.
It just felt really funny. Like the scene when they're in the woods and they're running, and then Patrick Wilson like realizes he can't run. I'm like, Patrick Wilson, you know you can run. I
Right?
mean, get your ass through them woods.
Right, right. I don't understand, and I don't know if that's part of the kickback they've had about how these two look nothing like the original Warrens. But at the same time, you cast people. We love these people. They are not aging. So like, you just have to like take that W, which you try to turn to an L, um, and not throw powder on her and let us pretend she's. Also, this takes place 5 years after the last Conjuring movie. So, like, would they have drastically changed that much?
Right, right. And I get
My
it that you want them to look like the actual people. I get that, and I think there's ways to do that without actually aging them. Like I did enjoy that the hair that she was in, where it's like up in a bun, kind of. That is kind of the hair that I've seen Lorraine have. Even when she was younger, she was very kind of conservative in that way. That's fine. You just don't have to like add a cane and then a walker or a
Yeah, yeah. And they talked about the heart so often. And I was like, good sir, you are dealing with demonic possessions and witches and who knows what else. Are you really that pressed about your heart medication? Because priorities. Um, Another acting thing, like again, the acting was brilliant all around. I had no problems with anybody, children, pets, anybody. However, I did clock that the only Black people were cops with very little dialogue, and it's now in 2021, so I don't know what we're waiting on to do better. If we could just do better, that'd be great. So to get off of the acting, last night someone mentioned, and I really, really agreed. And so I took this note that these Conjuring movies work better when we're isolated with the one situation. Like we've been in a house twice now with this family, and shit gets off the rails, and it's great. And so we lost that by trying to expand this world that the small town is in. And it just did not work because, again, you lost sight of the people they were there to save so
Mhm.
many times. And we're playing double dutch with two different storylines and we don't know how they connect.
Right.
And there's all these like random things that made the movie longer, but were so unnecessary.
Right. And so what I was going to say earlier is kind of to this point and the last point about the only Black actors. If you were to focus it in and really only focus on the victim, the family, and Ed Lorraine, or whoever is needed for that story, and then you had one other character come in, and that was a black cop. Okay, then that's your one extra character, and you made it a person of color. But when you have all these other characters, there's the lawyer, the judge, a bunch of people could have been. Anyway, I also agree that what makes the first two so effective is the isolation. Because in the first one, they live out in the middle of nowhere. They just moved there, so they don't have any friends. They don't really have any family. They're on their own. That's terrifying. In the second one, she lives in like a townhouse in the middle of London, very urban area. So there's people everywhere, but she's a single mother who has to work all the time to provide for her however many children she has. It was a choice.
These demons run in big families. So like if
Right.
you take that birth control, you too can avoid Satan.
But yeah, but she was isolated because she was always on the go, always trying to on the hustle, trying to provide for her family. So the isolation is what's terrifying because there's no options to go to, and that's why they have to go to Ed and Lorraine. And this one just didn't have that isolation. You could have gone to any number of people.
Yeah, it just got too big and they couldn't take it all, but especially because they have their formula. Like a lot of procedural shows we've watched, whether it's medical or a procedural cop, there's a formula here. We are going to get two movies meshed together, and we're going to get like a little bit of something that's going to be a spin-off, whether it's a prop or like a random vision of Lorraine's. And we didn't need that for this one, especially because this one is so different from what we've been doing with the Warrens so far. We could have really focused on this kid they were trying to help, and then trying to figure out how he was possessed, but he's not possessed anymore. And again, like that case was lost, so he did 5 years in jail, and I would have loved to see those ramifications of we couldn't get him off of this charge because.
And I didn't care. By the time they said that he was found guilty, I didn't care about that character. I mean,
because we lost him.
Right, you're going to care about Ed and Lorraine more than anybody else, and I get that 100%. But in the first one, I cared about the mom. In the second one, I cared about those kids. I wanted them to succeed. In this one, I was like, I lost him halfway through. The other thing that didn't work for me with this, that they tried to switch up from the last two movies, is the central villain of the witch. Because for me, the fact that she was human and easily stoppable is not as scary. The stakes aren't as high as in the first two when it's a demon and someone is being possessed and literally trying to kill people. That's terrifying and bigger than life. When you grow it down, just a different kind of movie, and I don't think these films go in that area.
I would have been okay with it being a witch had they actually fleshed out what that means in this world, because there's Satanist witches, and that feels lazy to me, especially when a lot of the people who identify as witches are not Satanists but more spiritual individuals. Right. So that felt like it was not fleshed out. But I'm here for always having the conversation, if we actually have it and don't just lose it in everything else we're doing. I'm here for the conversation of people being the bigger monsters. Just because a lot of what the Warrens are fixing are things that people did to themselves, whether they brought in a Ouija board or they told a doll that spoke to them, yeah, they can come into the house or whatever you like. And so for the witch to be I didn't do this on accident, I summoned this creature, I promised it a soul, and then we don't get why she did that. Other than the throwaway line of her father be I was into the occult and now she is but I need more. Because that's me being oh, my cousin's a baker, so now I'm going to bake forever, and I'm going to bake poison and arsenic into things and become the best baking assassin. And it's for who? How we get here? We
right.
missed some steps.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot because they spread everything else out, so they didn't have time to really flesh anything out. So now everything is bland.
Yeah.
Like the second storyline where the teenage girl gets possessed and kills her friend and they fall off the cliff. That didn't need the 20 minutes they used to investigate that. That could have been a 5-minute mention. Oh, this other story happened, and oh, now it's triangle, and you have to have the child, the lover, the man of faith. I get that, but you don't need to spend 20 minutes on all three of those cases, because then you don't get any of them that make sense.
It was different because I feel in the first two, We had like what Anne and Lorraine were doing while this possession or whatever was starting in this home. And so it didn't feel forced into it later because you're like, okay, this is our timeline we're establishing. And we're going to carry this new trauma into this new situation to help this woman with 19 kids. As opposed to here, where it's like, we have this kid, he is on trial for his life. He says he was possessed. We say he's not possessed. But let's go do some other stuff in the woods real quick. Even though we're really thinking about it and we're this is pressing and we need to like do something immediately. But let's just go to the woods for like 20 minutes real quick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I kept losing him. I kept forgetting what was at stake because we didn't spend enough time focused on that. So we're trying to do all these other things. And
yeah, and you never got it. Like, did he have was he living with her and that was her family and her brother, or was that his family and she was living with them? There was no other even character connected to him other than the little boy and his girlfriend.
I don't know what their family dynamics are because, like, we see this family move into a house in a flashback that comes way too late in the movie, and then we never see these parents again. It's like, did the little boy kill the parents when he was possessed? Also, if we're working with the little boy being possessed, then would we be working with the older kid being possessed? So I'm like, whatever that kid did, can't we transfer some of that over here? I have questions we don't get into. And again, I would like to see them deal with them losing this case for this boy because they were working on other cases and lost him in this shuffle. And so he did 5 years in prison and was branded a murderer.
Right. When I go into a movie, when I leave a movie with more questions than I had coming into it, there's a problem. I also, I'm not here to like say that you have to answer every question in the film. Like, you don't have to, but I should know who his parents are. I should know what the motive of the villain was.
Like, I shouldn't have to leave the movie and go Google the reports of things that happened and to see where these people are, like a behind the Warrens special. I should leave this with enough knowledge to be like, this is what supposedly happened.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
But instead, I have to go be my own researcher. I didn't sign on to dramaturg this. Nobody's paying me for this research. I have to do to fill in these holes.
Right. All right. Sheree, yay or nay?
It's a nay for me. I don't hate it as much as some of the spinoffs, which I have some issues with, but we will save that from we cover this whole franchise later on in life. I don't feel a strong reaction either way because it was so meh. My biggest takeaway is that I miss James Wan and maybe he should direct more of these and we should just like wait for his schedule to allow him to fix some of the issues that arise when he's not there.
Right. Yeah, it's probably, if I have to go yay or nay, it's probably a nay for me as well. I also didn't absolutely hate. I mean, it's not like I will never watch this movie ever again, but I went into this wanting it to be the Conjuring's version of the Amityville Horror Story, but it wasn't that at all. It's my least favorite of the 3 Conjuring movies, but if you take it out and look at the Conjuring universe, it's not my least favorite. It's probably somewhere in the middle. And if you're a fan of the first 2 films, it's probably still worth a watch, but just go into it knowing that it's going to be very, very different than the first 2 films.
Yeah, like again, it is the weakest link for so many reasons, and it's not the actor's fault. Again, Vera and I almost called him Jason for some reason. I don't know.
He kind of looks like a Jason.
He looks like I want to see his birth certificate. What is his full name? Vera and Patrick have a really good chemistry and a really good understanding of these characters that they portrayed. And so, like, they are giving us the best they can in what is not the best movie, which concerns me because this has a lot of mileage. They had a lot of adventures, those Warrens. And so this could be something that goes on forever. And if we're already hitting this wall here, I'm very concerned and I'm sad because I just got into it. And watched them all catch up. And now I'm all like, oh no, is this writing on the wall? What?
Yeah.
Oh well. Special thanks to our friends who watched along with us on Clubhouse last night. We didn't get a screener because we're not that cool. But here we are, less than 48 hours later.
And we have a dream, and one day we will be that cool.
Right? We will be getting screeners from important people any second now. Oh,
Bing, bing, bing. I'm just kidding.
that was it. That was it. You didn't know what it is.
Yeah.
That was it though. Surprise. Um,
So make sure you hit us up in the comments and let us know if you agree. Do you disagree? Did you love Conjuring? The devil made me do it. Did the devil make you do it? Maybe the devil made you enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe the devil made us not enjoy it. Who knows? But as always, make sure you stay fierce out there.
bye.